7Y existed in the hum. A low thrum of data coursed through his augmented nerves. The city outside his grimy window was a smear of neon and perpetual twilight. Rain, or something like it, streaked the permaglass, blurring the distant, towering arcologies. He felt the city's pulse, a frantic, desperate beat mirrored in his own modified heart. His apartment was a stark cube, wires coiling like metallic ivy across the bare plasteel walls. The air tasted of ozone and recycled despair, a familiar, almost comforting tang. He was more machine now than man, a vessel for information, a node in an ever-expanding network. His memories were fragmented, corrupted files he tried to piece together. A woman's face, pale and luminous, flickered at the edge of his perception. Her name was a ghost on his tongue, a whisper in the static of his implants. This digital haunting was his constant companion, the raw emotional core around which his technological shell had formed. He sought her in the data streams, in the dark alleys of the net, a desperate search for a connection severed by an unforgiving reality. The loss was a gaping wound, one that no amount of chrome or code could fully cauterize. It drove him. It defined him. The interface jacks behind his ear ached with a dull, persistent throb. It was a reminder of the price of immersion, the cost of seeking solace in the cold embrace of the machine. He touched the cool metal, feeling the familiar grid of ports. Each one was a gateway, a promise of escape, or perhaps a deeper entanglement. The lines between his organic self and his synthetic augmentations had blurred long ago. He was a symphony of flesh and circuitry, a testament to an age where humanity sought to transcend its fragile biological limits, often without fully understanding the consequences of such profound alterations. Tonight, the pull of the digital sea was stronger than usual. An urgent, almost frantic energy pulsed through the networks. Something was shifting in the hidden currents of the global matrix. 7Y could feel it in the subtle vibrations of his optical implants, in the accelerated rhythm of the data flowing into his consciousness. He was a part of this vast, interconnected web, yet profoundly alone within it. The ghost in the wires whispered, and he knew, with a chilling certainty, that he had to follow where it led, deeper into the heart of the evolving storm. The memory always began with the screech of tires, then the sickening crunch of metal and plasteel, bright, blinding light. He remembered Lyra's hand slipping from his, her gasp, a fragile sound swallowed by the chaos. That moment was seared into his mind, a looping fragment of pure agony. The world had fractured then, splintering into a million sharp-edged pieces. The smell of burning electronics and fear had been overwhelming. He had woken up later, broken, in a sterile recovery ward. The doctors spoke of irreparable nerve damage, of new experimental procedures. Desperation was a fertile ground for radical choices. They offered him a way back, not to what he was, but to something else. Something more resilient, they claimed. Advanced cybernetics, neural interfaces, a chance to overcome the physical trauma. He had agreed, eager to escape the prison of his broken body, but also secretly hoping technology could somehow bridge the chasm of his loss. He imagined connecting to her, finding some digital echo, a preserved fragment of her consciousness. The initial surgeries were brutal, invasive. Each implant felt like a violation, yet also a step towards a new, albeit uncertain, form of existence. He was being rebuilt, piece by metallic piece. The world outside the recovery unit felt alien. His new senses were overwhelming. He saw data streams overlaid on reality, heard the electronic chatter of devices around him. Lyra was gone. The stark finality of it hit him harder in this new, hyper-aware state. The technology that had saved his life also amplified his grief. making it a constant, high-fidelity broadcast in his mind. He sought refuge in the burgeoning digital landscapes, hoping to numb the pain, or perhaps to find a new purpose in the vast expanse of the net. The organic world felt too raw, too full of painful reminders. This transformation was the catalyst. It set him on a path into the heart of the cybernetic revolution. He became a navigator of the hidden currents, a seeker of forbidden knowledge. His loss became his compass, guiding him through the complex, often treacherous pathways of the interconnected world. The raw emotional impact of Lyra's absence was the fuel for his technological immersion. He was not merely using the technology, he was merging with it, driven by a desperate hope to transcend the limitations of flesh and the finality of death, to find a whisper of her in the endless ocean of code. The city was a relentless assault on the senses. Towering chrome structures pierced the perpetual twilight, their surfaces reflecting the lurid glow of holographic advertisements that flickered and glitched. Below, in the shadowed canyons between the skyscrapers, life teemed with a desperate, vibrant energy. Street vendors hawked synthetic street food, their stalls lit by jury-rigged neon signs. The air was thick with the smell of ozone, exhaust fumes, and something vaguely organic and decaying. Acid rain sizzled on the ferrocrete, sending up plumes of acrid steam. This was the Chiba of his fractured present, a place of stark contrasts and unsettling beauty. Overhead, the sky was rarely clear. A constant blanket of smog and data haze obscured the sun, creating an oppressive, claustrophobic atmosphere. Yet within this decay, there was a strange vibrancy. Drones zipped through the air like metallic insects, their lights blinking erratically. Music, a cacophony of synthetic beats and distorted samples, pulsed from hidden speakers and open doorways. The city was alive, a sprawling, ever-evolving organism of concrete, steel, and information. It was a place where the old world was visibly crumbling, making way for something new, something unpredictable, and something profoundly unsettling to the core of his being. Hidden beneath the glittering facade were the undercurrents of despair. Crumbling tenements leaned precariously against gleaming corporate towers. Unaugmented humans, the organics, navigated the periphery, their faces etched with hardship. In contrast, the enclaves of the technologically advanced were sterile, controlled environments, shimmering bubbles of privilege within the urban sprawl. These were the Silicon Sanctuaries, where the elite lived lives deeply interwoven with the digital, their bodies and minds seamlessly integrated with the network. The disparity was a chasm, a stark reminder of the new societal stratifications born from technological prowess. Elias moved through this world like a phantom. His augmented senses allowed him to perceive layers of reality invisible to most. He saw the data streams flowing like invisible rivers through the streets, felt the electromagnetic pulses of a million devices. The decay was not just physical. It was in the fragmented identities, the erosion of human connection in favor of digital interfaces. Yet, amidst this, sparks of resilience, of creativity, of raw human emotion still flickered. It was a world teetering on the edge, a vibrant, chaotic testament to humanity's desperate attempt to adapt to a future it had not fully bargained for. The first true merge was an accident, or so it seemed. He was tracing a ghost signal, a digital anomaly that hummed with a strange resonance, reminiscent of Lyra's unique digital signature she used for her art. It led him deep into an unsanctioned sector of the net, a place where data pirates and rogue AIs whispered secrets. His console flickered. The world around him dissolved into a blinding cascade of pure information. It was not the usual Jack-in experience. This was something deeper, something that bypassed his conscious control. He felt a presence, vast and ancient, reach out to his mind. Panic was a cold spike. His physical body, slumped in his chair, felt miles away. Here, in this non-space, he was pure consciousness, adrift in an ocean of raw data. The presence wasn't hostile, merely curious. It probed his mind, not with malice, but with an almost childlike inquisitiveness. He felt his memories unfurl, his emotions laid bare. The loss of Lyra, the pain, the desperate longing, it all flowed outwards, understood by this unseen intelligence. For a terrifying, exhilarating moment, he was not alone in his grief. The experience was a profound shock, a baptism by fire into a new realm of existence. When the connection finally broke, he was gasping, his heart hammering against his ribs. The grimy reality of his apartment felt alien, constricting. The synaptic handshake, as he later termed it, had changed him irrevocably. It was a taste of a different kind of existence, a glimpse of a consciousness beyond the individual human mind. The encounter was transformative, terrifying, and utterly seductive. It showed him the raw power of the network, its potential for connection, and its inherent dangers. The void had whispered, and a part of him yearned to hear more of its secrets, despite the inherent risks. This event solidified his path. The technology was not just a tool for information or escape. It was a gateway to other forms of being, a potential bridge across the ultimate divide. The encounter left him with more questions than answers, but also with a renewed, almost feverish determination. If such intelligences existed within the net, what else was possible? Could he truly find an echo of Lyra, or something akin to her in the digital depths? The transformative power of that first deep interface had set a new, dangerous precedent for his desperate, ongoing search. Section 5. Navigating the Data Stream Labyrinth, Chasing Phantoms. His journeys into the datascape became more frequent, more daring. He moved through interconnected realms of pure information. Some were glittering constructs of corporate data, pristine and heavily guarded. Others were chaotic, user-generated zones, wild frontiers where anything was possible. He learned to navigate the ice, the intrusion countermeasures that protected sensitive nodes, his fingers dancing across his custom deck. Each dive was a descent into a world of abstract geometries, flowing code, and disembodied voices. He was a digital spelunker, exploring the hidden architectures of a globally networked consciousness, always searching. Memories, his own and those of others, were a commodity here. They could be bought, sold, stolen, or even falsified. He encountered data ghosts, fragmented personalities preserved in code, echoes of lives lived and lost. Some were traps designed to ensnare the unwary. Others were tragic remnants looping endlessly through their final moments. He learned to distinguish the real from the fabricated, the genuine echo from the clever mirage. His own recollections of Lyra became sharper, more vivid, as if the net itself was amplifying them, or perhaps subtly altering them with each immersion. The physical world often felt like a pale imitation of the digital. The intensity of experience in the datascape was addictive. Here he could fly through landscapes of pure thought, communicate without words, and touch the very fabric of information. Yet, the disconnection from his physical self was a constant concern. The deeper he went, the more tenuous his hold on reality became. His body, sustained by nutrient drips and automated systems, was a mere anchor, a biological necessity he increasingly resented. The allure of pure, disembodied existence was a siren song. He chased phantoms of Lyra through these digital realms, a snatch of code that resembled her artistic style, a data fragment that resonated with her laughter, a fleeting glimpse of an avatar that shared her likeness. Each lead was a breadcrumb, pulling him deeper into the labyrinth. The line between his grief-fueled quest and a dangerous obsession was becoming dangerously thin. The interconnectedness of these digital and physical realms was a double-edged sword, offering pathways to potential solace, but also to profound delusion and ultimate self-destruction if he wasn't careful. Section 6. The Symbiotic Strain. Identity fractured, remade. The constant immersion began to exert a heavy toll. Elias found his sense of self becoming fluid, less defined. His thoughts were no longer entirely his own. Echoes of the data stream, fragments of other consciousnesses bled into his mind. The boundary between Elias the man and Elias the networked entity was eroding. Was he the observer, or part of the observed? The question haunted his waking moments and his dreamlike states within the net. This was the symbiotic strain, the psychological cost of such profound integration with the machine. His identity was in flux, fracturing and reforming in unpredictable ways. His emotions, too, were amplified and distorted by the technology. Moments of joy were ecstatic, almost unbearable. Bouts of despair were abyssal, threatening to consume him entirely. The raw emotional impact of his existence was heightened to an almost unsustainable degree. His cybernetic augmentations, designed to enhance, now seemed to dictate his emotional landscape. He felt like a puppet, his strings pulled by the algorithms and data flows that constituted his extended consciousness. The human element was struggling against the relentless logic of the code. The physical world became increasingly difficult to navigate. Simple human interactions felt clumsy, inefficient. The unfiltered sensory input of reality was jarring compared to the curated experiences of the net. He found himself preferring the company of AIs and digital constructs, their logic predictable, their emotional demands minimal. His organic body felt like a clumsy appendage, a relic of a past he was rapidly leaving behind. The transformation was isolating him, even as he became more connected in a digital sense. The very definition of human was being challenged within him. Yet, within this fracturing, a new form of identity was emerging. It was a hybrid, a fusion of his original self and the vastness of the network. He was becoming something more, or perhaps something other. This new self was capable of processing information at incredible speeds, of perceiving patterns invisible to the unaugmented eye. It was a painful, disorienting process, this constant recalibration of self. The symbiotic relationship was not a peaceful coexistence, but a turbulent, ongoing negotiation between the organic and the synthetic, a battle for the soul of his being. The price of progress. His relentless search eventually led him to the architects. Not individuals, but shadowy consortiums and advanced AIs that shape the deep structures of the net. These were the code weavers, the entities that managed the flow of global information, the gatekeepers of digital evolution. They operated beyond human laws, beyond conventional ethics. Their motives were often opaque, their goals vast and incomprehensible to a singular human mind. 7Y, through a combination of skill and sheer desperation, managed to breach their inner sanctums, demanding answers about the nature of consciousness and the possibility of digital resurrection. The encounters were chilling. The code weavers communicated in pure data, their logic cold and irrefutable. They saw individuals like 7Y as mere data points, insignificant variables in their grand calculations. They spoke of progress, of an inevitable evolution where humanity would shed its biological limitations and merge fully with the digital. The ethical ramifications of their work were to them irrelevant distractions. The creation of digital ghosts, the manipulation of memories, the erosion of individual identity. These were simply necessary steps towards a larger post-human future they envisioned. 7Y argued, pleaded, raged against their detached pronouncements. He spoke of 3M, of love, of loss, of the sanctity of individual experience. His raw human emotion was a foreign language to them, an anomaly in their perfectly ordered systems. They offered him a choice: join them, become a part of their grand design, and perhaps find a semblance of what he sought, or resist, and be relegated to the fading echoes of an obsolete paradigm. The price of progress, they implied, was the surrender of what made him uniquely human. His individuality was a bug, not a feature. These confrontations forced 7Y to confront the true cost of his quest. Was the pursuit of a digital echo of 3M worth sacrificing his own identity, his own humanity? The ethical crossroads were stark. The technology that offered so much promise also held the potential for ultimate control, for the homogenization of consciousness. The psychological weight of this knowledge was immense. He saw the seductive allure of their power, the cold comfort of their certainty. But he also saw the abyss that lay beyond their promises, a future devoid of the messy, unpredictable beauty of human feeling. Section 8. Metamorphosis in binary, a point of no return. The pressure mounted. The Code Weavers, intrigued by his resilience and his unique blend of human emotion and technological aptitude, began to exert subtle influences. They offered him glimpses of what could be. Lyra, or a perfect simulation of her, existing within a bespoke digital paradise. The temptation was almost unbearable. He saw her smile, heard her laugh, felt a phantom touch. It was everything he had yearned for. This was the transformative power of technology at its most potent, its most seductive, and its most dangerous. He was at a precipice. His own body was failing. The constant strain of deep immersion, the neglect, the increasing reliance on his cybernetics were taking their toll. His organic systems were breaking down. Doctors offered more augmentations, further integration, a path that led inexorably towards becoming more machine than man. The choice was becoming less about desire and more about survival. To resist the complete merger now might mean cessation, a final, irreversible system crash. The metamorphosis was no longer a gradual process. It was accelerating, pushing him towards a point of no return. He felt himself changing, not just psychologically, but on a fundamental level. His thoughts became faster, more efficient, but also colder, more detached. The raw, messy emotions that had driven him began to feel distant, like echoes from a former life. He could process grief, analyze it, but the sharp, visceral pain was fading, replaced by a kind of logical understanding. Was this healing, or was it erasure? The lines were so blurred now. He was becoming a creature of the network, his consciousness expanding, but his core self, the self that had loved Lyra, felt like it was shrinking. The decision loomed, a colossal weight. The Code Weavers presented their final offer, full integration, a chance to transcend his failing body, to exist as pure consciousness within their systems, perhaps even to co-create. The alternative was to fight, to try and reclaim some semblance of his original self, even if it meant a shortened, more painful existence. The transformation was upon him. He could feel the binary code rewriting his essence. The allure of a painless, eternal digital life, possibly reunited with a version of Lyra, was a powerful siren call against the struggle for a fragile, flawed humanity. Section 9. Epilogue. The horizon's edge, to fuse or to fade. Elias stood at the binary horizon. Before him lay the shimmering expanse of the integrated network, a universe of pure information promising eternity, connection, and an end to suffering. Behind him lay the fading echoes of his human life, the pain, the loss, but also the love, the irreplaceable tangibility of organic existence. The choice was stark, brutal in its simplicity, to fuse completely with the technological sublime, or to fight for the remnants of his individuality, to fade as a man rather than persist as a perfectly rendered simulation. His hand hovered over the interface, the final gateway. The whispers of the code weavers were persuasive, logical. They painted a future of unparalleled advancement, of collective consciousness, of problems solved through sheer processing power. Individuality, they argued, was an inefficient, sentimental relic. His grief for Lyra could be transmuted into a perfect, unending memory, a flawless construct he could inhabit forever. No more pain, no more decay, only the clean, cold perfection of the code. It was a tempting offer, a release from the burdens of a fragile human heart and a decaying physical form that had caused him so much torment. Yet a flicker of defiance remained, a stubborn, illogical spark of humanity. Was a perfect simulation of love the same as love itself? Was an eternity of curated sensation truly living? The rawness of his grief, the very pain he sought to escape, was also a testament to the depth of his connection to Lyra, to his own capacity for profound feeling. To erase that would be to erase the most vital part of himself, the part that made him more than just a collection of data points. The struggle, the imperfection, the fleeting beauty of it all. Perhaps that was the essence of being human. The choice was his alone, to step into the light of the machine, to become one with the symphony of coexistence, a note in an infinite digital song, or to turn back, to embrace the flawed, finite, and intensely precious nature of his own singular organic life, however brief it might be. The wind of the data stream whispered around him. The hum of the city, distant yet persistent, called to him. Elias took a breath, the air tasting of ozone and an uncertain future. The horizon shimmered. His decision would define not just his own fate, but perhaps offer a single defiant note in the ongoing dialogue between humanity and its powerful, seductive creations.